And it was a 5-minute conversation. I was like, done. This is what I'm doing. This makes total sense. Family First Life has a way better comp structure. You get paid directly by the carriers, and I'm in. You got a buffet of products. Let's do this.
Hello, everybody. Grady Paulson here. Beyond excited to have Martina Sholiton on with us today from Final Expense Brokerage of America. Is that right?
Actually, yep. And we're adding annuities and IUL division. You're correct.
I love it. So Martina is one of our top producers. She's been in the industry some time. We'll hear more of her story here in a second. But just all around focused agent. She cares about her clients, cares about the products which she offers, and as well as building an agency and caring about helping them be equipped with great training, great access to leads, and a great ability to have a solid mentor who knows the right word tracks. That's the thing in anything, right? If you're trying to learn how to play basketball, don't ask your grandpa who doesn't shoot basketball every day, right? If you're trying to learn to play basketball, go find a guy that shoots 300, 400, 500 shots a day and say, help me learn some things. How should my feet be? Where should my hands be placed? What should I be doing as I lead up to the shot? What should I be doing when I finish the shot, right? Like, I picked basketball because Suns basketball is coming back, and I'm very excited because go Booker and Durant and Bradley Beal. It's going to be fun. But more so is Martina's a seasoned pro, right? When you're a seasoned pro, you've got scars, right? You've got worn skin. You've got lashings up and down your legs from just the scent of battle, right? You've got literature that you're doing to constantly grow your mind. And what that means is when you roll into an appointment with a client, there's nothing you haven't seen, right? And when there's nothing you haven't seen, you can nearly protect almost every client you sit with if they truly love their family and want to protect them, and they're not just form fillers and just quotaholics, right? That amount of lead purchase is very low. But aside of normal objections and rebuttals, we know how to traverse those troubled waters. But at the same time, when you've done that, you know how to teach it. And that's what the beauty is of someone like Martina, who's been in this industry for some time, has produced at a high level, focused on building her agency, and constantly go out there taking care of clients. So without further ado, I'd love to pass it over to you. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to let you speed up. And I'd love for people to hear more about you, your story, how you found us, and everything.
Yeah, thank you, Grady. It's a blessing to be part of this today. And you saying about education, actually, my formal career, my first career was 25 years as an educator in special ed. And I worked my way up through the ranks to assistant superintendent. And when I got there, I was like, oh boy, am I going to spend 25 more years doing this? I was overworked, underpaid, undermined, all of those things. And so I needed to find a new career. And I just picked insurance. And when I did, I worked with as a captive agent in Final Expense and had a ton of windshield time. I started out in Oakland, California.
Oh.
So I started out in the roughest part of anywhere, and did really well at it. I liked it. I liked the clientele. I liked the stories. And it was fabulous. But then I started looking around and looking at my bank account, and I'm like, where is all this money going that I'm making?
Yeah.
Where is it? Right? Because I took my work ethic of 15 hours a day and applied it to being a captive agent and doing something that I really loved. But I'm like, why am I was making about the same amount of money as I did when I left as an administrator. And I'm like, that's not washing with me. So I started looking around, and my husband had started looking around for a year, and he actually found you. And so he dragged me unwillingly to one of your Thursday meetings in Arizona and demanded that I sit there. He had already set up a meeting with you for 5 minutes after that. And it was a 5-minute conversation. I was like, done. This is what I'm doing. This makes total sense. Family First Life has a way better comp structure. You get paid directly by the carriers, and I'm in. You got a buffet of products. Let's do this. And so I took and applied all of my final expense experience and started that and went crazy. And so when I ran into some health issues and things kind of went down, so but I was still able to maintain and still do what I needed to do because of all the trainings that FFL provides, all of the tidbits and all of those things. I just soaked everything up like a sponge. And when I bounced back, started Final Expense Brokerage of America and said, okay, I'm going to get back to grassroots after doing some IULs and mortgage protection and annuity here and there, and started building it up and started recruiting. And like what you said, just by the push of God, now we're adding an annuities and IUL division. So we're just growing. And I always would look at the Jamies and the Zachs and the Ninas and the Haydens and go, okay, how come I'm not moving as fast? And Marissa says it best. She's like, everybody has their own path. So I was like, okay, this is my path. And now the path has gotten really fast.
That's fun. Well, first, thank you, David, for being for having the insight, foresight, but also seeing more in your wife, right? You're like, she's talented, she's driven. I love her. You know, if she's going to spend time away from me as her partner, I want her to be as fulfilled as humanly possible. So let's go find an opportunity where she can take her passion and her drive and desire and put it into a place where she can get compensated as much as possible and then have a higher ceiling, right? A higher opportunity. And that, you know, that's his love for you. And that's your appreciation for him. And that's me grateful for him for, you know, seeing anything in me that sparked him to give him enough trust to want to bring his wife into a new opportunity. And so that's what's really fun about working with partners, right? Our couples is you are a team, right? You have to then balance. I need to do an appointment. I can't go do this with you right now, right? And all of that understanding puts us in a position where we can truly grow a business, but also have a partner in a sense that, you know, you guys are striving and growing and continuing to evolve together. So, you know, thank you, David, and for your trust. And also, you know, thank you to you, Martina, for the belief in yourself to continue to strive to get better, to, you know, seek out new sales opportunities, to now have the foresight to understand that you do come across with confidence and trust. And all that's going to do is give clients a greater opportunity to want to put their annuity money with you, to trust you for IULs, because that's really, that's the kind of next bigger level, right? We can get you in here and selling whole life and final expense and term and mortgage protection. Great, great policies. But if we want to move to that next tier, that Brad Allen tier, if you will, right? One of our #1 producer of all time, who does a blend of both, of whole life and term, but also is always seeking, how can I find an IUL and how can I protect any money this household has with an annuity, is the reason why he's putting up over 1,000, 2,000 families of protection every single year, because he asks all the questions. And so I'm excited for you to embrace that. And I'm also excited for you to teach that to your new growing team. So
yeah, and FFL also taught me all the phases in regards to what's available, because people come into FFL and they're like, well, I just want to work on the phone, or I just want to go, you know, to people's homes, which when I first started, it was mostly face-to-face, which is what I was used to. Great, right? But then working with a lot of different people, you know, Vivian came in and started to reorganize. Everybody's using Zoom. And then Ryan came in and now everybody's doing one call closes. Yeah. And so I got to grow up with all of those 3 phases. And the most painful phase was the one call close. And I purposely took my family to Mexico for 2 weeks, brought my leads. It was a working vacation for me, a workcation. And doing the transition from face-to-face and virtual, I was horrible. I was absolutely horrible. I did okay, you know, but everything I did fell off.
Got it.
Next month. And this is what I realized, and now am able to teach to other people, is that I realized how much of my personality that I was relying upon face to face in regards to my high level of sales, because it wasn't converting over the phone.
Got it.
So in the last 6 to 8 months, then that has really what's been solidified in regards to being able to, now I can do face-to-face, virtual, or one call closes, or set appointments and do over the phone. But it's truly a blessing that I'm able to share that with any new agents bringing them on, that they can pick their buffet of presentation along with their buffet of products. And I can teach to all those things. And with the background of education, it's all starting to meld together very nicely within the last 4 months.
I love that. Well, let's touch on sales here in a second.
Sure.
But that's something that I've never actually hypothesized on. It's because I served tables early in my life, and I would be the guy that would be listen, Martina, you didn't put on that dress and those earrings and come out to have a salad tonight. We've got this incredible miso sake marinated sea bass. It's been soaking in a marinade for over 24 hours. They put it over a beautiful island rice with cantaloupe and pineapple. It's absolutely decadent. Now tell me, I know that you want to eat light, but this is dinner and it's Saturday night. What I'd advise you to do, and what most people do here, Martina, is they like to get the miso sake marinated sea bass. Now I can get you a smaller version of that salad that you can try it. But is that something maybe you'd more like to try tonight? And I would get my checks bigger, because I would sell $40, sea bass instead of $12 salads, right? And you can always, if any of us past servers, you can tell, they're trying to go out to eat, but eat well. And then, maybe they're trying to, but in the end, as a server, you're trying to get that check as big as possible. And so when I went to selling insurance, I would rely on being mildly charming, or a smile, or wear a polo and slacks and tucked in shirt and shoes. I know some agents that go out in jeans, shorts, and t-shirts and sell insurance, but they must communicate well, right? So you dress well, you present well, you're knowledgeable. We underestimate our presentation, our personal presentation, as an immediate trust building factor. When we're on the phone, it's Grady and Martina. It doesn't matter whom you are, what you look like, your background, how successful you've been in anything in the previous past. So that's where for our agents that are trying to get started and you're struggling on the phones, it might behoove you to go in the field, run 5, 10, 20 appointments, and just try to build up some sales confidence, because when you're sitting at the kitchen table, they can't hang up on you, right? So by all means, we're in a new phase of insurance sales, where the entire world is pivoted to a virtual standpoint, whether it's a one call close or Zoom. But I'd love to hear now, like, how did you transition out of that, right? How did you evolve? Because we've got solar guys, we've got pest control guys, we've got car sales people, we've got realtors, got mortgage people, right? That roll into a situation with, an email full of, number one producer for 11 years, and right, immediate trust is built. But when you're doing a one call close to a lead that just came in the past 30 minutes, so I'd love that now. Like, what is your sales process? How are you building trust immediately? How are you creating that credibility and confidence with your clients to produce the level you do?
Great question. So when I make the first phone call and they pick up, then at that point, I know what they're going to want. They're going to want to know how much does it cost. That's the one thing that we always get. So when they pick up the phone, I'm like, hey, Grady, this is Martina. I was just calling to give you the details of the final expense plans that you wanted to look at, that you qualify for. Grab a paper and a pen real quick, and I'll give you those details. That's it.
Okay.
And I rarely get anybody say, well, what's this about? Or what are you calling about? Nope. And I specifically, hi, this is Martina. I was calling to give you the details that you wanted for the final expense plans that you requested, that you qualify for. Grab a paper and a pen, and I'll give you those details. Let me know when you're ready.
Just quick, like, it's almost like
I rarely get any pushback ever.
Like, you put in with the butcher. Let me know when you get the new prime rib in. Hey, I got the new prime rib. I want to give you the details. Go grab your pen. How much did you want? A half pound, pound, 2 pounds, et cetera. Do you want the au jus with it? Right. Like that's you're just, I got your order and we need to clarify, where we're shipping this out to. Like almost like
Yeah,
very,
because the psychology is that they're getting a piece of paper and pen to write down how much is it going to cost. I've already extinguished that. How much is it going to be? I'm already telling you, grab a paper and a pen. I'm going to give you the details. What are the details? They're assuming that's exactly what it costs, but I'm not going to start with that.
understood. Okay.
Right.
So that's okay. So I love it. So that's how you open. And then,
Right. So basically, okay, great. So I have here that you live in Illinois and you're 66 years old. Is that correct? Yep, that's correct. Perfect. Okay, so this is really simple. I'm a broker, so I work with all of the insurance companies that are in your area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all of them and I'm going to find the one that is the least expensive to give you the maximum amount of coverage for the lowest cost. That's what you're looking for, right, Grady?
right.
Right. So there is no other answer, right? So then that's okay, great. So if you take any prescribed medications, what are they? What prescriptions does your doctor prescribe you?
Okay.
And I'll get array. Usually they're ready to list them off. If they're
It's
not,
right
they're like,
next to
oh,
you.
I take a whole bunch of medications. Oh, okay, great. So do you have them right there by you or over in the bathroom or over on your nightstand? Yeah, give me just a second. I move kind of slow, but give me a minute and I'll go get them. Okay, great. Take your time. I'm in no hurry, but or if they're elusive and they're like, oh, I just take a whole bunch of medications, I'm not going to go get them. Okay, great. So then go down through the list of the health categories. Okay, do you take anything for your heart? Right. Okay, have you had a heart attack or a stroke or any stents within the last couple of years? Have you had any cancer? Okay. And they're like, yeah, well, hang on a second. Let me grab. A lot of times it'll get them to go get the medications because I'll start listing out medications. So is that like amlodipine or lisinopril or something like that? And so when I do deep dive trainings with my agents on Sundays for final expense specifically, we go over this stuff so that they start to have regular vernacular, regular language that starts to roll off of their tongues after 1 or 2 Sundays so that they get the comfort level of knowing what those medications are for so that they can kind of reach in and get the client talking.
Cool.
So oh yeah, I take that L1, the lisinopril, and then something that's like high hydrochlorothiazide, and because a bunch of people are on it, and they're like, oh, okay, great. So we get through the medication list. Meanwhile, I'm on Slack, which is a huge tool. I'm typing in, he's 72. These are his medications. Meanwhile, I'm also on a quote tool using the other screen and pulling up the age, the state, the sex, male, female. I'm already starting to figure out which carrier it's going to be before Slack even gets back to me so that we can do a balance. So as soon as they get through the medications and stuff like that, it's like, okay, so do you have a son or a daughter that you want to be the beneficiary? If it hasn't already come up in conversation, because once people start talking about their medications, they've always got a story, which you can feed off of very easily. So during that whole entire time, I'm saying Grady as many times as possible because people love to hear their name. And so when they hear their name, they like that. And then as soon as I snag the beneficiary name, oh, so I'm already pre-writing the application. So, okay, so the beneficiary, oh, your daughter, Christine. Okay, yeah, I got a couple kids, but she's the one that's going to take care of everything. Okay, great, Christine. Does she have your same last name? No, nope, she married some fool. His last name is Smith. So you get the funniest stuff, and that helps. And so during those little pieces of conversation, you're building the rapport, you're building that trust. They know what you're talking about. And so they're like, okay, so even if they've talked to 3, 4, 5 other agents, which they probably have, but based on your personality and directness, like, hey, we're going to get down to business. I'm going to give you information. Grab your pen and paper. They're ready. Now, how much have they written down, Grady? Nothing. They haven't written down a darn thing on their piece of paper, but they've already gotten it ready. When I do start with new agents, I do slip in there for them to give them their name and their agent number. I do that. I personally just don't do that anymore. But when they're getting started, I do have them do that and ask the client to read it back to them. Why? So that they wrote it down, so that they're really paying attention, so that they're really interested. Because if you know that they wrote it down, then they really are now listening to you in regards to what goods you got to give me. What's the cost going to be? I know she's going to get to it. So once you get down the beneficiary and the correct last name, we'll just say it's Brown. So, so with Christine, so, okay. So for Christine, you want to make sure that she doesn't want to pay for it, right? Or what's important? What's the most important aspect to get this into place for Christine? And then I start to slow it down a little bit, right? Because I've been pushing through, getting information, keeping them busy. Then it's like, and I slow down on purpose, because who does he care about more, me or Christine? Christine. Yeah. So when that happens, then I'm giving them time to think and slowing down my language purposely to say, okay, so what's most important to you in regards to getting this in place now for Christine? So I'm already saying we're doing this today. This is going to happen today. Well, I don't want her to have to pay for it. Okay, great. Does Christine live near you? Does she live in the same state? Yeah. She lives with me. Okay, great. So she kind of takes care of you. Okay, so you kind of want, not only do you want her to take, you give her money to take care of when you pass away, but you probably want to leave her a little something extra, right?
Yeah.
Shut up, right? So then you're already preconceiving in regards to how much they're wanting to do. And then cremation, burial, so Grady, are you more interested in cremation or burial? Because people are very specific about that. And a lot of times a religious affiliation will come out in that. I'll latch onto that very deeply, because if they're hardcore Christian, you're gonna know, because they'll start talking about God, and that's a good thing to latch onto, because when you express that you're a firm believer in regards to, yeah, it is really important to put that into place. God's gonna take me when he's gonna take me. Absolutely true. And we never know when that's gonna be, do we? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, John down the street, and then you get another story. There's always some type of affiliation. So what you're doing is you're building the psychology behind supporting his own story as to why he's getting the coverage, and John's sister had to pay for it, and he didn't have any life insurance. And I don't want that happening to Christine. Exactly, Grady. You don't want that to happen to Christine. So let's start talking about what kind of coverage we can find for you. So I review the medications, review heart attack, stroke, cancer, thyroid. Have you been to the hospital? Have you seen the inside of a hospital in the last 12 months? Oh, hell no. I hardly ever go to the doctor. Okay, great. But so basically just getting down more to knowing the questions of the different applications, which ones care if you've been admitted to the hospital, which ones that don't, and so on and so forth. By this time, Slack's already given you an option, right? So I know what I'm working with there, but with the deep dive training that I do on Sundays with agents, then they start to formulate all of their options too. And if they don't know, because a lot of times Americo is the first one that's offered, which is great because it's the simplest application to fill out, and they have a low threshold of, they let a lot of people through, so it works, but tends to be more on the expensive side. So if you're working with folks that literally are working off a limited budget, because I write policies from 20 to 320, like on a regular basis. So, it just depends on who you're talking to. So when you're talking to somebody that can afford the 300, then yeah, you can go the Americo rate, those kinds of things. But then agents know that they can be texting me lifetime 65. If they're selling 65 female, here's her drugs. And I know they're with somebody on the phone. So I'm saying, okay, option 1, option 2, option 3. So until they get to a larger knowledge base in regards to the details in that. So we get to, okay, Grady, so here's what I'm looking at. Based on what you're telling me is that we are going to be able to find day 1 coverage for you. That's what you want, right? So now we're going back to getting them to say yes about whatever we can tell them to say yes. And you want Christine to be your beneficiary, right? Okay, great. And her last name was Brown, Brown, right? Because repeating this information, you're already letting them know, like they're already in their mind starting to fill out the application. You might not have even pulled it up yet because you haven't even told them what carrier you're using. But basically, you're already prepping them for that. So it's like, okay, Grady, so I know you want to do a cremation. I know you want to keep it in your budget, and you do want to do some extra money to Christine for taking care of you and for the days ahead that she's going to be taking care of you. So 20,000 is going to be this amount, and 25,000 is going to be that amount. Which one of those works in your budget best? So that's what I usually use. But I also train and teach in regards to which one is going to work best for Christine. So when you're trying to push for higher premiums and really trying to figure out what fits in their budget, because the buyers are liars all day long, and we know that. And you start higher. So, because you can always work down, it's only the only way you can work up is if they say, well, how much is 30,000? Then you're like, okay, sure, let's look at it. So which one works in your budget best, Grady? Okay, great. All right, what's your middle initial, Grady? All right, great. We're going to look at the 20,000. And what's your height and your weight? Now, notice I have not asked, so is it okay for you if we fill out an application? No, it's always assumptive moving forward in regards to just, it's already happening before you picked up the phone. So the height, weight, and, okay. And what's the first few digits of your social? Okay, great. All right. Oh, you know what? What's the rest of it? Or just commonly, what's your height? What's your weight? Okay, great. And usually there's a comment that they make that you can feed up. Okay, great. Your social, don't make a big deal about it. I rarely get any type of feedback whatsoever in regards to getting that information.
You make a big deal of it, they'll think it's a big deal.
Right. So then it's, depending on which app you're using, if it's America, okay, great. You get text messages, right? Yes, I do. Okay. And you'll run into this quite often where they're like, well, I got to hang up and go get the text message. No, you don't. No, if you hang up on me accidentally, I'll know that it was an accident. I'll call you right back. But go ahead and go into your text messages. All I need is that little 6-digit code next to authorization code. I just need those 6 numbers. No big deal. Oh, okay, great. So, at that point, we're moving on, and we've already answered the questions. And so, okay, no heart attack, no strokes, no cancer, You don't smoke. Okay, great. And so on and so forth, and doing the questions. And oh yeah, and okay, so they're already letting me know that it's looking like it's going to be pretty good. They're possibly going to qualify you. So I just do want to let you know, though, if for some reason they say no, not to worry, because that's the beauty of being a broker, because I can just pivot to a totally different company and keep the cost relatively the same. Does that make sense, Grady? Great. Okay, cool. So I just want to just let you know that. So I've already let them know, if I think that there's going to be an issue, if they're not going to qualify, that I've already given myself and them permission to know that we're going to switch to another carrier, because that seems to be a little bit of a bump for some folks. But no, it's not. So then, and yeah, you know what? Before I ask you this next question, which bank do you bank with? Oh, Wells Fargo, or I don't have a bank account, or oh, okay, do you have a debit express card? Okay, great. So no worries. So immediately I'm transitioning to Prosperity. I don't even say anything while I'm doing that. And I'm like, okay, so let me put in your information. I gotta go backwards a little bit and put your date of birth, your social, and your phone number and your email and all that kind of good stuff in there. So I just automatically pivot and say, okay, you're going to receive an email. And then I just start the process through a different application. So when we get there, it's like, okay, great, you've been approved. And so at that point, Christine is going to be in really good hands. She's not going to have to worry about it. Now, here's the thing, Grady, is that I'm your agent. So this is really important, is that when that time comes, nobody knows how it's going to hit them, that type of thing. Make sure that she has my phone number in her phone. Matter of fact, what is her phone number? Okay. Does she know that you're getting this coverage? Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to give her a holler and let her know that we're getting this coverage. Now I'm starting to just push to we're already done, and whatever needs to be finished with the signature and all that is already going to be happening. But now I'm starting to work towards referrals. Right.
Awesome.
So what else, who else do you know is needing some coverage? Do you have some really good friends, that type of thing? So then I'm working more into the referral land in regards to who else needs coverage. Well, I've been telling my son forever in regards to needing to get some coverage for himself, and so on and so forth. So then I just go ahead and start exploring the referral paths with that. Meanwhile, we're finishing up the application. So I'm keeping them busy as we're moving along with I'm getting little pieces of information from them that I need for the application while I'm figuring out if they're getting approved, and they do. And then we start working into the referral conversation. And then at the very end, it's like, great, Grady, guess what? I'm typing up an email right now. Let me just double check your email. It's Grady Polson, LLC at gmail.com. Okay, great. So I'm putting in I don't have a policy number yet, but the name of the company is Prosperity. You're getting $20,000 worth of coverage. I'm putting all this in the email. The premium is such and such, and it's going to start on this date, or as soon as they approve it, they're going to request the funds out of your account, and so on and so forth. So I send them the email. If an application goes to underwriting, I do the exact same thing, but then let them know that I have full confidence that it's gonna get approved. And again, Grady, if for some reason it does not get approved, that's okay. I already have a plan B if there's an issue, but I really do think it's going to go through. Okay. So do you have any other further questions for me, Grady? Well, it's just been a pleasure of being service to you. And I'm going to send you the email and follow up with you in regards to when your policy gets approved. Is that okay with you? Great. Do you want me to call you, text you, both? So I'm always putting in the communication pieces with them. And they do like that follow-up, whether they're approved or not approved. I email them when they're issued. If I'm getting an email from the carrier, I'm sending them the same information. So it's like full disclosure, transparency, right?
Yeah.
So in the process, when you're talking to them and they get a little bit difficult, here's one of the things that I always use if need to get much more direct. It's like, look, Grady, you want me to be truthful to you, right? You want the truth, right? Because here's what we're working with, especially with people with higher health risks and issues. So of course, I want you to tell me the truth. Okay, so then I back it up with knowledge in regards to this is A, this is B, this is what we're working with. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is the best we're going to get. So when we're working with folks that have health issues, they're on certain medications or they're on oxygen and they want day one coverage. So I do work with agents directly in regards to how to get past that conversation, because there's a lot of folks out there that, I'm perfectly fine. I'm on oxygen. I should have day one coverage. There's nothing wrong with me. Right?
Yeah.
So from
smoking.
start to finish, if someone doesn't, oh, I'm sorry.
No, as I understand, there's nothing wrong with you, Betty, today, but it was the 37 years of smoking that led up to the fact that you're on oxygen is the reason why the insurance company says an issue with giving you day one coverage.
Exactly. Exactly. And we go through that in the trainings and just getting down to the brass tacks. Don't be afraid to just highlight the pink elephant in the room. It's, it is what it is. And you're not telling them anything that they don't know. And I'll be like, hey, Grady, I realize you quit smoking 5 years ago, but you still have emphysema, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I could change that, I would. But when we're working with emphysema, I'm looking at the 4 carriers that we're working with, and this is the carrier that's going to be the least expensive. I guarantee it. So does 15,000 or 20,000 work for you best to make sure that Christine is covered?
Got it.
Yeah, so I get much more direct. Now, when you can't get a hold of people, then the text message, the Kirby method, the Kirby method arrives. And there's other options out there too. I've used Zippo. And the Zippo method is really great too, as far as their texting funnels. That's what Kirby does, is he does texting funnels and such. But here's the bottom line, is that each person that you're texting, whether you're hand texting or if you have a funnel that they're going through, 7 to 13 contacts before they respond, typically. And what happens is when agents get, delirium from texting so many times or what have you, they give up too soon. That's what happens. When they give up too soon, then they don't get the next text. And actually, Marissa just posted this the other day on Instagram, which she was talking about. I don't care if you've made 250 calls. When you make that 250 first call, that's the person that's been waiting for you to get to them and help them get their insurance coverage. And it was the same thing door to door, 8 to 8 every day, 6 days a week. I would pound it out, and seriously, I would be so tired and so angry and so mad, but I'd be like, okay, the methodology is one more door. Same thing with the phone, one more call. But in our world, it should be 10 or 15 more calls, right? Yeah. But go to that last door. It happens. Swear to God, wanted to just go into a parking lot, cry my eyeballs out, tell myself how much I sucked at sales and quit. And then I look at the leads in my front seat and I'm like, all right, Fred, you're buying today. I go up to the door, and sure enough, Fred opens the door and he's like, oh yeah, we just finished dinner. Come on in. I was wondering when someone was gonna call me about that. And sure, like, I am a good eyeball roll. And seriously, it takes everything I have not to do that. But now that I work mostly from the phone, I can roll my eyeballs all I want. But the same thing happens on the phone, is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's like, if I hear one more answering machine, I'm going to shoot myself in the head. But literally, then I have a 15 dial rule, and not like 3 dials per person. No, 15 people. So 15 more people, and then I'm going to take a break. 15 more people, and then I'm going to quit, or I'm going to call it for the day and start fresh again tomorrow, because everybody has to put those mental stops in there too. But sure enough, exhausted, tired, got a hold of people, didn't close, should have closed, mad at yourself because you should have and didn't. And then you get, Jesus, and he's been waiting for the phone call, and it ends up being Jesus, his wife, his oldest daughter who's living with him. And that's when it's like exactly what Marissa speaks to, and everybody else. If you would have quit, it wouldn't have happened. You would have missed it. You wouldn't have protected those families, not just one, but 3. And, shame on you for quitting. And I think that's the biggest piece in this business, is you've got to have resilience. You've got to be able to bounce back from the toughest situation and do this and go, okay, starting over and moving forward. Because I think that's literally, Grady, I think that people that don't persevere and make it here, because there's no reason why you shouldn't make it at Family First Life. The buffet of products are there. You got good commissions. The only thing you need to bring is open-mindedness, some humility, a sponge, and get to work. And if you do all those things, you should and can and will be successful. And it doesn't matter if, you're a rocket like Nina and Hayden, or if it takes you a lot longer, because everybody's path at Family First Life is completely different. Everybody figures out their own way. And when you get there, you know it, and it feels really good.
Drop an MS in the comments below to shower Martina with love, because that was an absolute final expense masterclass, from A to rebuttals to Z to follow up. And that's I can tell by your passion and how much you care about your clients and how much you love this industry and how it's evolving your life and future plans. And that's all we could hope for people, right? Is, we provided a great vessel, right? You've got to get in and drive it, or, get an oar and start paddling, or whatever vessel it is in your mind, put rocket fuel in the jet and take off. But it's apparent that you're a student of this business. You've been through not hundreds, if not thousands of tens of thousands of phone calls now, which now allow you to know how to navigate, right? And that's one of the beauties of this business, is the more you do, the better you get. It's not the more you do, the worse you get, right? This isn't the reward here of time is skill, and skill is the thing that will pay. Skills pay the bills. I'm not trying to be tacky here, but
I like it. I think we should get t-shirts.
Well, we'll have them for sale at October 23rd and here at the Omni Hotel. But this is it's a testament, right? We can, every single person on this call and watch the replay can tell you care about your clients, you care about this industry, and you know your craft. And that's all we could hope. But if you go back and rewind this and watch it through and write out her word tracks, she doesn't say these words because they don't work the best. Anything that we fast forward 6 months, there might be some tweaks, but a lot of this shell will still be there because you figured out all the ways not to do it, as we touched on earlier, that your professionalism and charm and smile and jewelry and purse and all the ways that you would present highly walking into a home don't matter at all when you're talking to Jesus, who doesn't know who a Martina is and doesn't exactly remember that he filled out a request for final expense coverage. But when you take control and say, I've got those quotes you were looking for, go grab a pen and paper so we can review them. He goes, oh, someone here else is in control, whom our client base is used to having. They're used to having a boss, someone that they're subservient to. And when someone's coming through with something that is important to them and they're taking control, they feel empowered because now they just have to listen and respond to questions. They don't have to make a bunch of decisions because the broker is helping them make the decisions for them. Martina, you nailed it beyond words. Any final thoughts you have to all of the new agents out there that are pushing, but you know, the little red guy is sitting on the shoulder and it's getting louder? How do you conquer the little voice that's pulling you the wrong way?
Yeah, don't let the enemy sit at your table. Just don't. Is between your ears are the worst space. It is the worst space on the planet, because when you let the enemy sit at the table with you, you start to think that you're not good enough. You think that somebody else is better than you. Why can't I do it like they do? What's wrong with me? You know, I don't have enough money for leads. I don't know what like all these leads are crap, excuses and so on. And so it festers like that. And I've seen people that are good and quit because they let the enemy sit at their table and listen to it, as opposed to stopping themselves and finding a place, a person. And like my person is Galen Hendricks. She is my mentor. She's not even in FFL, right? But I have Erica Walker in my phone. When I'm mad and I feel like crap, I go into my notes page and I listen to Erica Walker's presentation. And I'm like, oh God, you know, stop it. Or anything else that goes sideways. I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. Look at what you were doing a year ago and where you are now.
Yeah.
You know, you took the leap of faith.
Where
You
you're going to
did
be in
it.
a year. Where are you going to be in a year, Martina? It's going to be, it's me impressive.
It's going to be special. I know that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, David, for sharing Martina with us. And thank you everybody out there as an agent who's trying to get better, right? This is time that you could have spent anywhere and you spent it with us trying to evolve yourself. And these are minutes and focused time that you don't get back. But I hope that at this point you go, I'm really seeing what's possible. If Martina can do it, if so many people can do it, if we can put up as an agency nearly 10,000 families in a month in the middle of summer, why not you? And why not now?
Exactly.
So Martina, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to having you on here real soon. Cheering you on.
Thank you, Grady.
All right, everybody. Bye for now.